This program is supported by the Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge-Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, coming to you today from the beautiful First Baptist Church here in New London on Main Street. A real treasure to our community and just a picturesque New England setting here. I'm now joined by Diane Muller. She's one of the deacons here. Hi, Diane.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me, and I'm excited to hear you were saying right before we get started that you've been part of this community for about 5 years.
Yes.
And so you got the everyday feel, and then COVID hit, and you really had to adjust not only as part of the community, but also as a deacon as well, because you played quite a role.
Yeah, I was not a deacon until a couple of years ago,
Yep.
so that's something that was added in later. But coming here pre-COVID was wonderful. Once COVID hit, it was hard
Yes.
to go to online services, and although it's a wonderful opportunity,
It is.
and when I'm out of town to be able to just tune in that way is still great. But being together is important. Our faith in the Lord is very personal, but joining together and being able to share, whether it's a meal or just ideas,
Sure.
the things that are harder to do when you're not together.
Yes.
And so not having it be just a one-way street sort of thing when you're listening to a service, how do you still connect with people, even though you're kind of offline?
And that was probably a hard part for Pastor Charles too, that he wasn't looking out into the audience and getting feedback, nodding heads, or
Right.
there's just looking at a screen. And same for you, you weren't getting that feedback back
Right.
from him because it's just this one-way street. I think there are a lot of things, obviously, that COVID hurt in our life, but there are a couple positives too. One being that now you can still tune in to your Sunday service at
Right.
your church, regardless of where you are, because of that streaming capability.
Yeah, it's
Really
true.
important.
I did it this past weekend because I was away with my husband.
Yep.
He does field trials with dogs, so here I am out in a field, and I get in the car and I'm listening to the service.
Yeah, perfect. Accessible from anywhere.
Yeah,
So there are a couple of positives.
Yep.
I know deacons played a big role. First of all, tell us about your role of being a deacon, what that means, but also what you played during COVID, because you were a real helping hand to a lot of the community.
Yeah. Well, deacons kind of jump in as needed, as well as doing specific things like ushering and being the liturgist, reading the scriptures
Sure.
during the service, events when we have barbecues, and we had, some of them outdoors
Yes.
in the parking lot
Yes.
here. And there were things we were able to do, like bake cookies and send them over to the college kids.
Sure.
And, it was, so there are ways around some of the things that you want to do, but not totally.
Definitely. And during COVID, you were instrumental in making sure that some of the community members of the church were feeling, that you were checking in with them,
Right.
ones that were
Yep.
alone or maybe struggling, because, everybody goes through their ups and downs in life, but I think COVID was just this extra heightened level of needing somebody to talk
Sure,
to, and that's
sure.
what Deacons was able to help with.
Yep, yep.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Talk about also about what attracted you to being a member of this First Baptist Church.
Well, my mom was brought up in New York City and went to a Pentecostal church there. And we really connected with Pastor Charles. We thought his sermons were great. She was in her 90s when we started attending. And so after she passed, I just have continued to enjoy it. And I wouldn't change a thing. I just love it here. I just love it here.
It's such an amazing community, and I think not only for those that come, every Sunday and are part of the faith community here, but the First Baptist Church is such a big part of the community as well, hosting events here, and so many things throughout the year that for the outside community to come in.
Right.
The food pantry has got to be
Right.
one of the most humbling things that the
Yeah.
church does, and really is such a need as we go through some of these trying times.
And the other thing is that the sanctuary is so big that even when COVID was still a concern, you could social distance so easily. And some people would go up to the balcony if they felt uncomfortable being down here. So.
Helps to have many pews for many people. Well, Diane Muller, I really appreciate talking to you and learning about your experience here at the First Baptist Church.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Diane, and thanks to the First Baptist Church for your efforts in our community. When we return, we'll get the latest update from Tim Blagden on the Concord Lake Sunapee Rail Trail. But first, these words from another fine local business that helps underwrite our show.